والضحى والليل إذا سجى ما ودعك ربك وما قلى وللآخرة خير لك من الأولى ولسوف يعطيك ربك فترضى ألم يجدك يتيما فآوى ووجدك ضالا فهدى ووجدك عائلا فأغنى فأما اليتيم فلا تقهر وأما السائل فلا تنهر وأما بنعمة ربك فحدث صدق الله العلي العظيم.
اللهم صل على محمد.
Okay. So now I would like to invite Brother Zen. No, that's it. So to Brother Zen Mohsin to start his presentation on the day of Ashura by Muhammad wa Muhammad Salawat.
صلوا على محمد وآل محمد.
اللهم صل على محمد.
Can I get a louder one? صلوا على محمد وآل محمد.
I
want you to imagine that you are standing in front of Imam Hussein's shrine in Karbala right now, and he is actually standing in front of you, and you are now going to recite salawat. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Assalamu alaikum, brothers. How are you? Good. Good to see you again. It's been what, 3 months since I last saw you? Good to see some familiar faces and some new ones. Inshallah, today we'll be looking at, again, understanding Karbala, different perspective. Okay, like Sayyid Rafi said at the start, this presentation is not like other maktas, okay, where on the day of Ashura, normally they recite Imam Hussein's shahadat, okay, his martyrdom. And it is too difficult for many Shias, for many followers, or many lovers of Imam Hussein to actually look at it from an analytical standpoint, because our emotions are very high on that day. So I've tried to take a little bit of a different approach. I'm not going to just tell you the chronological events, okay? But I'll look at some other big questions as well. Because we only have 6 sessions. This is the third last. I'm second last. Third last. Okay, so we've only got 2 sessions after this, and the other 2 are quite important. Okay, so there's some things I've added here that you need to know, and inshallah, you'll benefit highly from it. So I need your attention, and remember, it's not like other majalis, other lectures where it's just a speaker at the front and you have to listen to him and you can't ask questions. If you have a question that you want to ask about anything that I say, so anything's up there, just put your hand up, say your name first, and then ask, okay? And I'll try my best to answer. But more importantly, young people learn best when they're learning together, okay? When you are interacting with one another. So I want that sort of relationship with me at the moment, okay? I want you to benefit from me as me also benefiting from you. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Then do you want me to operate?
No, that's okay. I'll just take this double straight. I think you remember my last lecture. I like to set the scene, okay? So come with me for a little bit, okay? 1400 years ago, on the desert plains of a land called Karbala, a man with a handful of his companions took the ultimate stand against injustice and tyranny. The tragedy of Imam al-Hussein transcends time, race, and religion. The story of what happened on this day is repeated in households all over the world, not only on the day of Ashura, but is remembered every day by the followers of the Ahlul Bayt. This story has so much significance to us today, not only on a personal level, which we will discuss today, but the remembrance of Aba Abdullah and his ultimate stand against Yazid opens every single human being's mind and the heart to have the capacity to do one thing, and that is to stand against all forms of injustice, no matter where you are. In fact, many parents would know what I'm talking about here. But when you look at private schools around the country, especially the most significant ones, the one mantra they all try to sell is how their school will make kids positive members of society. You'll see that everywhere. That's the one vision all big private schools have, okay? Be it Islamic schools, be it Christian schools, be it the big private schools in Sydney, they have this one mantra. It's this saying that our school will create or make your child a positive member of society. What this all alludes to is one thing. The key to success in this world is having the capacity to stand up for what is right and stand against injustice. Even in the West, they realize this. Hence why Australia is doing so well compared to other Western countries. The one thing that you will see here is that there is justice in this land, okay? Doesn't matter who you are, okay? If you do the wrong thing, there are ramifications for that, okay? And Allah has rewarded this country for that reason, okay? But no school, and we're seeing this on an everyday basis, and I'm seeing that with my students now. There is no school other than the great institute of Aba Abdullah that can teach a human being to have the free spirit. It needs to be positive members of society. I guarantee you, the one thing that we are lacking in schools now is children or young people growing up to be free in their mind and in their spirit because of the distractions around them. But the one institution that changes that reminds everybody, even those Shia mu'min out there, or even those brothers or sisters out there who only come out of their cave for 10 nights a year, even they have to stop. Even they have to stop what they're doing and they go to Majlis of Aba Abdullah for 10 nights. It resets them, okay? So, I want to start off with a question. According to you all, what are some of the traits? What are some of the traits an individual needs to be a positive member of society? Okay? And I want you to answer this question amongst yourselves. So the person next to you, find them. If you are brothers, move away, okay? Because that defeats the purpose, okay? So for example, Murtada and Mustafa have come from Canberra, mashallah, all the way, you know, so you can partner Sayyid Urfi, Mustafa, you can partner Sayyid Abbas. The rest of you, if you're cousins, move away, okay? So I want you to find someone that you don't really know, okay, to answer this very important question. What are the traits an individual needs to be a positive member of society? Let's go. You lost? You two go. Actually, why are you brothers? Can you come here? Can he come with you? Let's come over here. You're joining here? Is that your, you know this guy? Well, why don't you ask, why are they talking about this? Share your ideas, come on. Come up with three. Come up with 3 traits As a team. Along with three. Figured it out, mashallah. صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. Saying some good discussions, mashallah. I'm gonna go to each group or each pair, just give me one and try not to repeat the others. For the people on this side, I'm sorry, you're gonna have to really think because they're gonna go that way. Did you come up with one? Yes. Yeah. Now this helping the oppressed, mashallah, very good. Over here, please.
For justice.
It's a little bit the same as that, but okay, I'll take that. Stand up for justice. You guys? Are you with you? No, you two. You two, yeah? You two?
No, we both use it.
Oh, sorry, okay. You two? You three? Yes.
Stop racism.
Okay, stop racism. No, traits. What do you need as a trait? So, okay, you're a little bit younger. Trait is what do you need to stand up for against racism?
Confidence.
Confidence. Well done. You. It is. Yep.
Like stay with the haq and honesty.
So honesty. Yep. Good. Mustafa. Respect. Good. Ibrahim.
Social skills.
Social skills.
Faith.
Faith. Very good.
Responsibility.
Responsibility. Boundaries. Depend on that.
Knowing boundaries and knowing each other's limits in life.
So leadership. A good leader knows all this. Let me tell you something. On the day of Ashura, on one single day, all of these traits were shown in perfection. Okay? I want you to just keep that in your head and I want to come back to this. Okay? But I want to share a study I came across regarding the significance and power of Imam Hussein's sacrifice. The one thing I struggle with, right, not just as a youth leader back in Canberra or any youth I work with, when I go to Majlis, doesn't matter if I go to this center or that center or that center, there's a disengagement that I see amongst young people. And I talked a little bit about it last time I came to Sydney, that one of the reasons why we have such a disengagement is the distractions of social media and technology. But there's another reason as well, okay? The reason is that you guys don't like to read. When's the last time you picked up a book?
Oh, it's cool.
No, hang on, listen, I haven't finished my sentence yet. You picked up in school. When was the last time on a weekend, in your free time, where you don't have anything to do and you're a little bit bored, and you've gone and picked up a book to read? In leisure, I don't believe it. Should I ask your parents?
Yes.
Yeah, were you there? Brother, does he not like to read, your son? Sometimes. Sometimes. There was a thing there sometimes. You did? What book did you read last? Enjoyment, out of enjoyment.
I read the book of Amazing Places and Ikhlaq.
MashaAllah. You're ahead of all of us there, MashaAllah. Musa, put your hand down. Come on, you're my son. You can't do this to me. Tell me.
Discover the Power of Salah. I read that.
MashaAllah, very good. Did you do that leisure or was that because of madrasa?
Because of Mama.
Very good answer. And how old are you? Whoa, you don't have picked up a book. Have you ever picked up a book in leisure? Yeah, which was the last one?
Probably like Diary of a Wimpy Kid.
Like 6 years ago. That's like 6 years ago. When was the last? When did you read it? Let me tell you something. Ibrahim, which one was the last time you read something? Yes, because you don't have a TV. Your dad's done the right thing. He's the only one who has, what we say in Urdu, himmat, the power to ban TV at home. That's why you read a book. So maybe it's a lesson for all parents.
Wait, no.
You got another one? Oh, I'll ask you later. Let me tell you something, and I'm saying you're going to start seeing this at universities. You know what the West is trying to do? You know the hard book that you have? This, it's a hardback, paperback. Universities in the West, even though it's an educational institute, are trying to get rid of this. They're trying to digitalize everything. Okay? So libraries are getting empty. Books are no longer getting written anymore. I want you to become lifelong learners. And the way you learn about Imam Hussein is by reading. So fall in love with that, okay? But I want to share you a study I came across. Because I'm a teacher, I have to love reading, otherwise the amount of essays that I have to read that are so boring, I'll fall asleep, right? I fall in love with reading. This study tells us the power and significance of Imam Hussein's sacrifice and how it transcends time. One of the things that young people often ask me, why should I learn about what happened 1400 years ago? We live in 2022, Brother Zain. What is the significance of this? Now listen, this study was conducted in and around the time of the successful revolution in Iran in 1979. If you do not know about the Iranian Revolution, that is maybe something you should do in this coming week and learn about it, okay? Now in this study conducted by Western academics, the question they wanted to answer was how, despite the CIA and American intelligence having so much technology at their disposal, how they were completely taken aback by the revolt that led to the overthrowing of the Shah, who, by the way, if you didn't know, was a brutal dictator that had aligned himself, so had become friends with the US. In that study, they came up and they highlighted the strength and power of the story of Imam Hussein being recited in every household. Okay. In fact, it's suggested, now this is Western academics, it's suggested that in mostly every household across Iran, there was an Azar Khan. They used that word, Azar Khan. This that you're sitting on is an Azar Khan. And in these Azar Khans, the story of Abba Abdullah would be repeated and repeated throughout the year, every single day. This gave the Iranian people the strength, the confidence, and the necessary traits to stand up against tyranny and injustice despite all the odds. Okay. The study concludes that the story had such a profound psychological effect on the people that it gave them the strength, the capacity, the willpower to stand up and revolt against tyranny despite the odds stacked up against them. If you read the story, the Shah was such a brutal dictator who did not want to lose power that he was willing to kill women and children and men unarmed in cold blood. And yet still, every single Iranian stood outside their homes and revolted against the tyranny of the Shah. Why? This is not my words. This is not the words of an Ayatollah or a Maraja or a Mulana or a Sheikh. These are the words of Western academics. It was the strength and power of the story of Abba Abdullah and Azar Khans. Okay? It signifies that power. And I want you to keep that in your mind. So next time your parents say to you, let's go to a Majlis, remember that. Remember how this story, this event, gives you the capacity to stand against injustice and tyranny. When the time comes, therefore, when Imam al-Mahdi will be standing there calling for help, the only way young people, despite all the challenges surrounding them, will go and stand by him is if you keep Abba Abdullah's story inside you forever. Okay? Listen to it over and over again. And I guarantee you, every time you go to a Majalis, a new thing, a new reality of Imam Hussein's sacrifice will come apparent to you. I'm 30. I'm not going to tell you my exact age. I've got grey hair. But if you believe it or not, I'm only 34 years old. Okay. I know I look like I'm 55. He's laughing. Look, he's laughing. Because Brother Zayn, you don't look 35. You're probably 55. You're lying. But I'm 35. Go ahead. Even though I'm 35 years old, every single time I read about Abu Abdullah, every time I go to a Majlis, something new comes my way. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. I want to answer some big questions because we're not going to have time to do it in the next sessions. Okay. The first one I want to answer is this one here. Why did Imam Hussein refuse to pledge allegiance to Yazid? Okay, you want to answer? Go for it. Name, please. I'm sorry, your brother Abbas. What was it? What was it? Yeah. Tell me.
What does that do?
Well, the question is, why did Imam Hussein refuse to pledge allegiance to
Because
Yazid?
if he pledged allegiance to Yazid, the people that knew Imam Hussein was the Imam, they would think that Imam did that, so they would think it's the right way to go, and if he did that, there would not be like Islam.
Yeah, okay, good try, very good try. Yeah, name, loud. Mustafa.
If he did pledge allegiance to Yazid, we wouldn't be sitting here today.
MashaAllah, what an answer. Do I give it to him now? Yeah. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Ibrahim.
Imam Hussein was a representative of Allah, and if he gave his allegiance to Yazid, he was the representative of Rasulullah and Amir al-Mu'minin Allah. If he gave his bay'ah to Yazid, then all of them would become false.
Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. One more. I'm going to ask.
He wanted like the end of the debate to keep on going and not fall down, like let's say for Islam to like keep on going itself.
So to save Islam, the
Yeah,
true
yeah.
Islam. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. I have more opportunities, okay? Can I try to answer the question? Yeah? All right, so I'm going to start off with a surah of the Quran. Now, this is a translation. Indeed, those who swear allegiance to you swear allegiance only to Allah. The hand of Allah is above their hands. So whoever breaks his oath breaks it only to his own detriment. And whoever fulfills the covenant he has made with Allah, he will give him a great reward.
Wow.
The answer to the above question is clear then, when you look at the surah alone. Yazid was not qualified for any Muslim to pledge allegiance to. Okay? Let alone Imam Hussein, who, like you guys said, was the master of the youth of paradise, was the Imam of the time to pledge allegiance to. Okay? Yazid himself was not even a Muslim in reality. We've talked about that right at the beginning, and you've looked at in the last two sessions as well. So how can he be given allegiance to? Okay. Yazid's irreligious, godless, heretical ways and his absolute carelessness towards the values and the sacred religion of Islam was as clear as the midday sun. And if the Noor of this world pledged allegiance to a man like that, like Mustafa said, we would not be sitting here today. Okay? That's one answer. Second question I want to ask, quickly answer today. Was Imam Hussein's revolution successful? And did it achieve its goals? Okay. Yep, mate.
Yes, because
Name.
Ayan. Yes, because in the end, Islam did survive, and we still have Islam.
MashaAllah. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Next. Jazid. Yeah.
So yes, his
Stop looking at my look at me. Go.
his revolution was successful because Islam still exists and is still over here.
MashaAllah.
And it still achieved its goal by keeping Islam and making like us who are sitting here, Shia Muslims.
MashaAllah, MashaAllah, very good answer. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. When Imam Hussein arrived in Karbala, he writes a letter to those who did not join him. And he said this, and I find this really interesting. It was short and it was sharp. Look what he said. Surely, whoever joins me from among you will be martyred, and whoever remained behind will not witness the victory. Wa alaikum assalam. That is it. Yet, there's a contradiction there. Can you see the contradiction? Can you see the contradiction? But yet in that contradiction, there is beauty in it. Have a look. Surely whoever joins me will be killed, and whoever doesn't join me will not witness the great victory. That's all he says, and he leaves it at that, closes the letter and sends it off to every single one of his followers who do not join him. Okay. So Imam Hussein had two goals, the immediate and the long term, and this is according to academics. Okay. Let's have a look at the immediate goal quickly. So the immediate goal was to get back his legitimate and natural right, which was to the Khilafah. Okay, he was the rightful ruler of Allah on this earth. Okay, and rulership for the sake of reforming the society in order to bring back the Islamic system to social life. And I just want to stop here for a second. He achieved this immediate goal straight away, but unfortunately, history is starting to repeat itself again in modern times. I just want you to think about what I'm going to tell you. Maybe you've heard it from your parents, or you might have seen it on TV, or you might see it around yourself, but people or brothers are not talking to brothers anymore. Okay? Sisters are not talking to their sisters anymore. The very social fabric of society, which is in Islam based on love, respect, trust, responsibility, family, loyalty, all of those things are starting to disappear. People fighting over money. This person didn't say salam to me. This person doesn't talk to me. When was the last time you went to a restaurant? One person tell me, who went to a restaurant last time? When was the last time you went to a restaurant? Okay. Next time you go to a restaurant, I want everybody to do this. Everybody go to restaurants? Yeah, you got Sydney, halal, everything, man. Come to Canberra, we only have one, right here. That's it. In Sydney, next time you go with your family, I want you to notice something. And I did this, not today. Actually, I recognize it today. But the last time I went, I wanted to have a look if my observation was correct. Some of you know what I'm talking about, because you probably do it as well. I'm not joking, okay? Sitting in a restaurant, and I looked over to the other table. And there was a family of 8. 8 people. They were all brothers and sisters, parents, okay? So it was a big family, okay? But it was silence on the table. Silence. And guess what they were all doing? They were all on their phones. Young, middle-aged, teenagers to adults. We were all on their phone. And if I had gone up to them and I asked them who you're talking to, you know what their response would be? I'm just talking to my brother. Habibi, your brother's just next to you. Talk to him properly. I am a teacher. I'm a teacher by trade. I speak to young people all the time. Even in the last 3 years, people have forgotten how to speak to each other. So this goal of Imam Hussein is now relevant even more today as it was 1400 years ago. He came to revolutionize the society around him. He is still trying to do that today. He's still trying to do that today. Again, this is so relevant again. He wanted to revive the tradition of his grandfather and the messenger of Allah. And every single time Aba Abdullah's story is told, he is trying to revive the tradition of his grandfather. Okay, the relationships with family members, the relationships with brothers and sisters. That's what he came to revive. He wanted to eradicate the innovations and correct the mistakes of deviations that engulfed the Muslims after the death of the Prophet. Okay, and I know the other sessions talk about this. Such falsehood prevailed that left nothing from Islam among the Muslims other than its name, and nothing from the Holy Quran other than its script. People were reading the Quran in blankness. It just became a script for them. Imam Hussein came, his goal, immediate goal is to revive this. Okay. What about his long-term goal? An indirect objective. It was to undo the falsehood that was inaugurated by Yazid, to establish the boundaries of Islam, and to draw clear signs between the real Islam and the false Islam, to show the world what the Prophet came to establish. And Mustafa said it again, and I love his answer. He said, the reason why we're sitting here today is because of Imam Hussein. Brothers, you are so lucky that on a Friday night that you're sitting here today and you're listening to the story of Abu Abdullah. Ask your friends what they're doing on Friday nights, who are non-Muslims. In Canberra, we're not as lucky as you, right? There are not many mu'mins there. So most of our friends are non-Muslims. I can tell you what they're doing. They are doing every single disgusting thing you can think about on this night, even the young kids. But you are in the safety of an Azhar Khan, you are under the guidance of your parents, you are under the guidance of Imam al-Mahdi, sitting here discussing about Imam Hussein's revolution. How lucky are you? So without a doubt, Allah, you have a question. Loudly, I've got a bad news.
We are lucky because we, like, you know, we believe in Imam Mahdi and all our Imams.
Absolutely, absolutely.
That's why we are lucky, because now, if we keep on believing in our life, there's chances we can go to Jannah.
Inshallah, mashallah, inshallah, absolutely. So keep those two goals in your mind. Every single time you wake up in the morning, what was Imam Hussein's goal and objective? It wasn't just to go and fight a war and to become a figure in history like a hero. That wasn't his goal. It was much more than that. It was a much bigger goal than that. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Let us try now, and I promise you, even though that was kind of a long introduction, the next parts are quite quick, okay? So can we all refresh ourselves, because the lecture actually, sorry to scare the young ones, actually starts now. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. You need to yawn. So you definitely need to yawn. Come on, yawn. You need to stretch a little bit, stretch. Mustafa, please rub your eyes. I mean, you need to wake up. So to start off, loud salawat. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Every single year, Muslims lament and weep for the tragedy of Ashura, where the grandson of the Holy Prophet was brutally massacred alongside his family, his companions in the land of Karbala. Refusing to bow down to a tyrant, Abu Abdullah stood firm until the day of Ashura, where he lost his most loyal followers, his closest friends, and his own children, including a 6-year-old infant child. As we remember the tragedy of Karbala, one wonders how the intricacies of this story that we hear every year actually reached us today. Have you ever asked yourself that? How do we know all the small details of what happened on Ashura? It's a miracle of Imam Hussein. I'm going to answer that question because it's quite hard. Listen. How do we know exactly what happened on this day? These are just rhetorical questions, brother. Just listen. How do we know the names of those who fought and died alongside Imam Hussein? How do we know of the dialogue that happened in Karbala, both during the battle and the night prior among the tents of Imam al-Hussein? And how did all this information actually reach us today? So in this lecture, we will try to explore the history of the events of Ashura in a chronological order, but also how the narration of Imam Hussein's killing reached us through this great institution, the pulpit. Okay. Those are what I want you to think about. Those are the questions I want you to think about today. Okay. Well, no, just think about it. Okay? I want you to think about that. I've already asked you. Okay. I'll answer them. You'll know what they are. Okay. They'll come up there as well. Okay. Of course, I'll ask you. Okay. So, how do you know of all the things that happened on that day? How do we know still today? And we're going to try to answer that today. Okay. Inshallah. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. When you go home tonight, I've got some homework for you. And it's really good. The best time, parents, to catch your kids is on the trip back home tonight. When you leave after having some good food, after enjoying each other's company, after listening to this lecture, the best time for parents, inshallah the kids won't be asleep by then, is to have a discussion there and then. And I want you to ask your parents a question tonight. This is the question you're going to ask your father. Okay? What happened to you when you first heard the maqtal of Imam Hussein? What was your reaction? I know when I was a child, obviously I had listened to it throughout my childhood when I was an infant, when I was 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I was a little bit young. But when I became mature enough, I remember the day that I read the maqtal of Imam Hussein myself. Picked up a book. The book was called The Tears of Karbala. And I read it, and I still remember vividly what happened to me. I was by myself. It was the 10th night of Ashura. And my question was, why do people cry and lament so much? Why can't I cry and lament? That was my question. You might have a different question. I still remember what happened. And it was actually the first time the event of Ashura and its significance became clear to me. It seemed so surreal, something that just could not happen on this earth. How can the grandson of the Holy Prophet, the greatest human being that lived on this earth, be killed, not only killed, murdered, but butchered on the desert plains of Karbala? It seemed that this could not happen on earth. That's the first that came to my mind. And I sat there, and tears just kept on flowing and flowing and flowing. And I tell you, brothers, wallahi, I remember. It's as if my heart opened for the first time. I told you this the first time. Ask yourself, who is your first love other than your parents? Your first love is Aba Abdullah, your first love. That is the person that you love with every single fabric in your body. It's the first person you will fall in love with. And it was that moment that my heart opened up. My heart opened up. And I want you to go home and I want you to ask your parents this very question. Baba, what happened to you when you first heard the maqtal of Imam Hussein? One second. What was the first reaction when you first heard the maqtal of Imam Hussein? All right, questions, let's go.
What Yazid killed Imam Hussein? Muawiyah's son or Muawiyah's brother?
So Yazid was Muawiyah's son. Okay, good question.
There's two Yazid.
The one that we're talking about is Yazid, the son. Okay. Have a question? No? Have a question? Good.
Don't we know about Ashura and the tragedy of Karbala from books?
Yeah, but who wrote those books? That's what I'm going to tell you today. There's 4 sources, okay, that I'm going to discuss. Okay. Good question. Yeah, Mustafa.
Who's the first person to know what happened on Karbala?
Other than the infallibles, other than the imams, I'll tell you that today. Okay. Great questions. Very good. All right. Even though this lecture is dedicated to what happened on the 10th of Ashura, one night, even 10 nights is never enough. I challenge one of you to become such an expert that you force your university to open up a faculty for Imam Hussain. That should be the ultimate goal of yours. Did you listen to Abbas? You didn't listen to you, you missed it. Did you listen? You missed it because he disturbed you. I'm sorry, my son, I can't say it. Did you hear? Challenge you, you're 15 years old, you're probably the oldest here. Okay? And become such an expert in your field that you force the university that you study in to open a faculty for Abba Abdullah. Because one night is never enough. But we'll try. Okay, we'll try to get through as much as we can. Now, this is a question that many young people have. And you might be wondering right now, say to yourself, Brother Zain, this question I always get asked, how can I learn practical lessons from an event that happened 1400 years ago, and that too from an army of loyal followers for an imam? My imam is not here. So what can I get from this? I want you to think about that question, and it's a legitimate question. There are many answers to this, but on a practical level, just think about this for a second. Every single age group was represented on the day of Ashura. For example, a baby who was 6 months old, the age group between 1 and 10, then 11 to 20, 20 to 30, 30 to 40, so on and so on, all the way up to the 90s. Every single age group is represented on the day of Ashura. That is the miracle of Karbala. That is the miracle of Ashura. So it does not matter what age you are. If you want to learn a lesson that you can become a better version of yourself, that's all we're asking, a better version of yourself, look at Karbala. Doesn't matter what age you are. Be it Sayyid Urfi's age, be it my age, be it the youngest child here. It doesn't matter what age you are. If you're Mustafa's age, who's looking at his phone, mashallah. Doesn't matter what age you are. If you want to learn practical lessons that you can take in your life, just go to Karbala. Not only age groups, also every single relationship that is important to an individual was represented on this day. The relationship between a son and mother, a relationship between father and son, child to elder. If you want to learn how to respect your elders, look at Karbala and Ashura. Child to uncle, uncle to child. Husband to wife, wife to husband. Brother to sister, sister to brother. Brother to brother, leader to his people. If you want to be a good and successful leader, and by the way, if you want to earn the most money in this world, what you have to be is a project manager. If you want to be the best leader, look at Imam Hussein's leadership qualities on that day. Every right and responsibility one has towards the people in their life, you can learn on the day of Ashura. Simple. Okay. Now, what happened on the night of Ashura? Okay, we'll start with that quickly. Don't worry, brother, it's not that long. I promise. I promise. Not that long. Stay with me. Now, some of the things I'm going to tell you is a little bit of Musayib. What does Musayib mean? What does Musayib mean?
When you're remembering the imams and they're talking about how to
And normally when a Musayib happens, you put your head down, you lament, you cry. I want you to just stay with me, okay? Because the lamentation, the Musayib will start at the end and we'll put the light down so you know, okay? Much of this is quite hard to listen to, but stick with me because I guarantee you there are lessons within these events, key events that you can take. Okay. The first one happened on the night of Ashura. Imam Hussein says the following to his companions. Just have a look at this. I glorify Allah with the best glorification and praise Him in times of prosperity as well as misfortunes. O Allah, I praise you that you have likened prophethood to be bestowed in our family. You taught us the Quran, thus making us intellectuals in religion, and conferred upon us the faculty of hearing and foresight and an enlightened heart. Thus enter us among the fold of your grateful servants. Now then, I have not known any companion who are more faithful and devout than you, nor have I known any family who is more considerate, affectionate, favorable, and amiable than my family. He's talking to his companions right now. He is in the tent with all his companions. The swords in Umar ibn Saad's army are getting sharpened. Everybody's starting to realize that this is their last night on earth. And Imam Hussein is saying to you, I know you are the best of companions. You have already achieved what you want to achieve. He's telling them, you may leave. I lift up from you the responsibility of the allegiance and oath which you have sweared at my hands. He's telling them, I give it back to you. You will not be held accountable anymore. His love for his companions, this is a true leader. Okay. He tells them, go, leave. You have done what you want to do. And if you are ashamed of being seen, go in the darkness of night. But I want you to look at the response given to Imam Hussein. And it tells us the greatness of Imam Hussein's companions. Obviously, we see it on the day of Ashura. The companions, but the war happened in stages. The battle happened in stages. You'll see it. It happened quite quickly. The companions could not show their greatness as much as we want to hear about it. Okay? Because like the first phase where arrows were thrown, 40 companions perished on the spot. Okay. That's how many arrows were thrown. We're going to look at it. Happened at 9 a.m. Okay. 40 companions perished there and then. This is why the night of Ashura is so significant for us. We get to see the greatness of Imam Hussein's companions. Look at the response. Muslim ibn al-Sajjah arose and said, shall we forsake you? The narration suggests that Muslim bin al-Sajjah was not angered at Imam Hussein's request to leave. He was angered by the fact that maybe some of his companions might be thinking of leaving. That's what he was angry at. He said, I'm not going to read all of it because this will be available for you, inshallah. It will be emailed to you. But what he's trying to say to you, he was angry for the fact that maybe one of us had a thought in our minds and our hearts to leave in the darkness. And he says, then Zuhair joins him, another great companion of Imam Hussein. What did he say? By Allah, I hold dear that I should be killed, then made to arise again and be killed again for your sake. Which companion on this face of the earth can say that? The significance of this night cannot be underrepresented. Not only do we see the greatness of Imam Hussein's companions, but we see the devout nature, the loyalty, which all of us need. If you want to be in Imam Mahdi's army, inshallah, when he comes, you need loyalty in your heart. And his companions teach you that. And there's a saying by the famous poets, every land is Karbala, every day is Ashura. What does that mean? It doesn't mean that you have to fight a battle every day, like a physical battle. The battle is within yourself. Will you, in the darkness of night, will you be loyal to your Imam and not do the wrong thing? Allah is watching you, right? So what can I learn from this? What lessons can I derive from this? All right, now you've learned a little bit and you know a little bit about it anyway. I want you to ask a question. I want you to discuss amongst yourselves again. The person next to you, same thing. I want you to ask this question. What lessons can we derive from this exchange? Just this exchange. Okay? And now I want you to answer this question. I want you to come up with one or two things. Okay? Let's go.
By receiving the answer, can we start giving the question? Thank you.
Yes, that's
You should find this stuff.
you stay on the side.
What? Ah, there you go. Sorry you have this book. I'm sorry, I only got these two books. This one might be too advanced for you.
Smarter than me.
Yeah, I got that. This one, this is like advanced. This is advanced for me. But you've already got a gift. You've already got a gift. You'll be happy to take it. Who's your dad? Who's your dad?
Yeah, actually, we will get rid of
MashaAllah, MashaAllah. Would he be, is this still there for him? Or? MashaAllah, there you go. Look at that. Yeah. Just have to have a gift. So. Do we all come up with one? Okay, something that not even Imam knows. It's not a topic, it's not a workshop. Everybody, that's the next workshop we can do. Imam Mehdi is arrival. We're all ready? Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. I'll go back there. Yes.
This is from one of our group.
Good.
Okay, so always be loyal to our imams.
Subhanallah. So loyalty.
Yeah.
Always be loyal to your imam. Good. Mustafa, your group? That's okay. She had a discussion. That was good. Did you come up with last week? Good. Loyalty is appreciated. Subhanallah. Same thing, but good. That one? No? Ibrahim? What can you learn from the companions?
Respect can be to everyone.
Okay, yeah. Musa?
Confidence.
Confidence?
Your loyalty and if you show loyalty and confidence to your imam, you won't regret it.
MashaAllah. Very good, Mustafa. Very good. Yeah.
Never to leave your religion.
Never to leave your religion. Absolutely. Faith and strength of character. Absolutely. Yeah.
Always accept your religion and be honest to everyone.
MashaAllah. Very good. One more. Now, I'm not going to read all of that. Don't worry. Okay. I know you are getting a little bit tired, but this is now the chronology of the events. Okay. Now, the events of Karbala took place the 10th of October in the year 680. Okay. That's the Gregorian calendar. The position of the earth in relation to the sun is fixated, if you didn't know, but it's fixated. Okay.
What does that mean?
It means that it just keeps revolving on the same position. Okay. Because of that, it is thus possible to calculate the timing of the city of Karbala on this date and allocate the words of the individuals who have written the maktul to the appropriate hours and minutes. Okay. And let's run through this as fast as possible. 5:47 a.m. The adhan is given by who? Yep. Aliul Akbar. Okay. They say when Imam Hussein's eldest son came to give the adhan, they all thought the Prophet had come again. His voice was that close to Imam, to Prophet Muhammad, his grandfather. Imam Hussein gives a 30-minute sermon, not only to his companions, but he stands on a camel and he gives a lecture to every single individual in Karbala. Again doing tabligh, again trying, because he is the master of this earth. He cannot stand to see that one of his pupils, doesn't matter if it's in the Saad's army, that they are on the verge of going to hell. He couldn't stand that. That's how much he loved his pupils. He wanted to save them from being forsaken. He gave so many sermons on the day of Ashura itself. The first one happened straight after the Fajr prayers. Approximately 6 a.m. Just hold your questions for now, boys, because we're just running a little bit out of time. I'm sorry. 6 a.m. Imam Hussein orders for a trench to be dug around the back of the tents and around the tents, because any military strategist knows. And remember, Imam Hussein, he has the blood of Imam Ali in his veins, was the greatest warrior on this earth. He knew that he needed to protect his tents from any attacks from the back. So he asked his companions and his family to dig a trench around the tents. And then they could also set that on fire as people started to die, his companions to die, and he needed to protect his family. The trench could be on fire, no one could come across. Understand? You with me? So there's a trench behind the tents, a deep trench, and you put that on fire, what's going to happen? No one can come across, right? Yes? That's what he does. Okay? No one can attack from behind. What? Water?
Yeah.
The
But it's
water,
very big.
yeah,
One is big. It will take
big
you-
trench, number one.
And it's a desert. There's not
Desert.
much. There's not
And
much.
the water, by the time you bring it over across, it's not going to be enough. Right? There's no hoses then. No, that's a good question. There's no hoses then, there's no buckets like that big, okay? Quick questions, go. Has to be to do with this.
Yeah, it's to do with this. When Imam Hussain alayhi salam was giving the sermon, when he stood on the camel, he was kind to everything. So why would he stand on a camel and do it? Why wouldn't he just stand on a rock or just stand over it?
So the camel was quite high. He wanted to make sure everybody could see him and everybody could hear him.
He
Okay.
didn't get hurt.
The camel?
Yeah.
He wasn't standing, sorry. Standing means like sitting on the camel. I'm sorry. Sorry.
If there was a trench then in Sham, how did the
Sham?
Yeah.
Sham al Gariba?
Yeah.
Sham al Gariba is different. We're not talking about Sham al Hafiz or Sham al Gariba. Okay. Yes.
Did he just communicate with the camel? Because why wouldn't the camel be able to? Why is he just standing in one position?
Camels and horses are trained. Okay. So when you hold this rein, they're trained.
Just one thing to add here,
How
because
did
the kids are very interested in camels. So when we read the history of Karbala, the first question is that why Imam give the first lecture, the first khutbah on camel? Even though that Shabi Ashur was asked only for the prayer, because everybody knew that there is going to be war next day. So this is because camel is not used for the war mainly, for the male especially, only the horses. So the first sermon was on camel because Imam wants to tell them that I'm not here for the war. I want you to listen and repent and accept who I am.
Subhanallah. Subhanallah. So you understand that? Despite the significance of sitting on a camel rather than a horse was to show everybody that he was not here for war. Even now, there's time for them to stop. Okay. Let's keep going. 7 or 6 a.m. was sunrise. Okay. The battle hasn't started yet. A short time after sunrise, Imam sat on a camel and he challenged those people on the other side. And didn't you write a letter for me to come to stand up against Yazid? They rejected his claim. He threw the letters at them and said, here you go. This is the evidence. Again at sunrise, Imam gives them an opportunity to repent. Gives them an opportunity to stop this. Still don't listen. 8 a.m. after the speech of the Imam, some of the companions such as Burair of Kufa and according to another narration, Zuhair, gave similar sermons. Even though so Burair and Zuhair, even though came, were staunch warriors. They had a lot of fire in their hearts. They even got up and gave speeches against Umar ibn Saad's army. Stop what you're doing. This is the Imam. This is Abu Abdullah. 8 a.m., another speech happened. Come towards the army of Imam al-Hussein. Now the question here is, what about Hud? Hud hasn't arrived yet. He's still on Umar ibn Saad's army. Yes, during the night he couldn't sleep. Yes, all those narrations that we hear, that he asked his companion, did you give water to your horse? And then he thought about the companions of Imam Hussein, but he hasn't arrived yet. It was these sermons that turned the likes of Hud to come towards Imam Hussein. Not just him, some others also come towards Imam Hussein's army. It was at 9 a.m. Shimmer challenges Umar ibn Saad, why haven't you started the battle yet? So what does he do? He picks up an arrow and he fires the first arrow. And then Umar ibn Saad, because he was a coward anyway, right? Biggest coward you want to see is Umar ibn Saad. And he needed Shimmer, the most evil person on earth, to start the war. Right? Could you imagine? Shimmer was the one who's telling you, come on, get off your seat and start it. Okay? This is the sort of man Umar ibn Saad was. Okay? Why are they laughing? All right, can we just stop, please? Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad.
Wow.
Yes, question.
Oh, it's not really a question. Can I switch this for that?
Yeah, of course you can. Any other questions about this? It was after the first arrows, a shower of arrows were thrown towards Imam Hussein. 40 companions were killed on the spot. Okay, 40 companions. Approximately 10 a.m. after initial shower of arrows, 2 men came out from the army of Kufa, so Umar ibn Saad, and they continued to battle Imam Hussein's army one-on-one. Normally, in the times of the Arabs, duels used to happen one-on-one. That is where the war is actually won. That is where you get to show your chivalry, okay? You get to show your prowess in battle. They broke this. Umar ibn Saad's army broke this because when the one-on-one duels happened, every single time any of Imam Hussein's companions got to fight the proper way, the traditional way in a duel, they came out victorious. Umar ibn Saad and Shimr knew then that we have to start using other tactics, okay? After this duel, the army of Umar ibn Saad starts to attack collectively. They can't do it anymore. The duels, they're getting smashed, okay? They're getting embarrassed by Imam Hussein's army, despite the fact that these men have not had water or any food for days. They are showing what true chivalry and swordsmanship is, okay? And they start attacking in groups. By 11 a.m. after this attack, the Imam asked his companions to go out individually then, okay? Because before that, between 9 a.m. and 11 a.m., the army of Imam Hussein was just trying to fend off these collective attacks, okay? Just trying to fend them off. By 11 a.m., when the collective attacks stop, again, the individual duels start, okay? Just before the Zuhr prayer, a significant event happens. One of the greatest companions of Imam Hussein is killed, Habib ibn Muzahir. Do you know Habib has one trait or one honor that no other companion has? He has an individual grave in Karbala. Habib had that honor. The narration suggests that Imam Hussein was so saddened by Habib's death that he forgot when Zuhr prayers were on. The Imam was so saddened by his great friend's death that he had to be reminded of the Zuhr prayers. It was at Zuhr time that 30 companions were killed by the arrows that were showered on Imam Hussein's army when he was doing his prayers. So 2 individuals specifically were told to stand in front to protect they were not told, they did it themselves. They stood there and they took all the arrows to make sure Imam and his companions could recite the salah. I'll just stop here for a second. This is why it is so important to establish salah in your house. If Imam Hussein can tell his great companions, or not tell them, but his companions know the significance of salah, that they can sacrifice their life to allow the Imam and his companions to do prayer, what excuse do we have not to pray? What excuse do we have? If there's one lesson that I want you to take away from today, the others as well, but if there's one lesson to take away from today, is never ever, as true followers of Imam Hussein, to never abandon salah. Don't abandon it. Salah, don't abandon, not just that, but do your prayers on time. Even though in the middle of war, even though they knew that they're going to get attacked, Imam Hussein still established prayer. Don't forget this prayer. Don't forget it. Yeah.
How would they do a book?
So right here, okay, I said that they did something called Salat al-Khawf, which is salah in a time of danger. Okay. Now, when you do Salat al-Khawf, there are different things that are required other than doing wudu. But normally, if you don't have access to water, how do you do what wudu? Yeah.
Like the prayer is like when, like for example, when like half the army is defending, and then they pray like individual, and then they join the prayer, like do half the prayer in Jama'ah and then halfway individual.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Yep. Quickly. Yep.
In Quran about 4.08, Allah said, "Woe to those who pray but are heedless of their prayer."
MashaAllah, wow, remember the Quran, man, MashaAllah. Okay, so let's keep going. It is at 1 p.m. that the family of Banu Hashim start to go out. Okay? Remember, this will all be available for you, okay? Approximately 2 p.m., 28 members of Banu Hashim were killed. 7 brothers of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, 2 sons of Imam Hassan alayhi salam, 2 sons of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, 2 grandsons of Jafar ibn Abu Talib, 9 members of the family of Aqil, and the rest from the extended family of the Imam. Eventually, only Imam Hussein and Abbas remained from Banu Hashim. Approximately 3 p.m., just before 3 p.m., sorry, Al-Abbas asks his brother to go out and go for war. And remember the Messiah in the first night. Imam Hussein doesn't give him ijazah, but he does give him ijazah to go and get water for the children. Al-Abbas, going through the many battalions of Umar ibn Sa'd's army, he gets through. He gets to the water, okay? And he actually gets halfway back. It is only because of cowardly actions from Umar Sa'd's army that the water doesn't get there. Because Shimr knew that if the water got back to Hussein, Imam al-Hussein Aba Abdullah, and both Imam Hussein and Abbas were able to drink water, they would finish them off. This is what he said. Okay. Approximately 3 p.m. Yes, quickly.
If Imam Hussein won that war, like in a
He did win the war.
Yeah, I mean like the battle.
The battle, yeah.
Would that be the most powerful battle that Islam ever won?
Yeah, of course it would have been like the prowess of both of them, but they were not there to win the battle. Right? Remember we talked about that it required something significant to change the minds and the hearts of the people. A victory in battle was not going to do it. It required the ultimate sacrifice. Think about that. Sacrifice was needed. Sacrifice was needed. Brothers, boys, you just need to go quickly because it's almost 10 p.m. Put your hands down for now. Just keep the questions to a low. I'm staying behind, remember? You can come and ask me that, okay? It is at 3 p.m. the Imam returns back to the tent and begins to bid his final farewell to his companions and his sisters, okay, and his wives. It is then Ali al-Asghar or Abdullah, the baby, is taken to get water, and he is also martyred. Okay. Now, without going into too much into the Maqtal of Imam Hussein, because it's too hard to recite right now, we're trying to do an analysis. They say it is reported that there were 33 injuries from spears. That's how much it took to bring down Imam Hussein. 34 injuries due to swords on his body. That is when he fell. And the narrations also suggest that it was only after the cries of the angels to tell him to stop that he stopped the war. We forget often that Imam al-Hussein was the son of Imam Ali and how powerful he was in battle. Even after all of those injuries, he stood firm. And it was only after Allah had told the Imam to stop that Imam put his sword down. Okay? We're going to talk about the Maqtal later. 406 is a time around Asr. It is reported by Hamid ibn Muslim, which I'm going to talk about in a second, that Imam Hussein was martyred. It was at this time that Sinan ibn Anas attacked the Imam and beheaded him. Okay? It brings the end of the battle, and what in the Indo-Pakistan culture is called Sham al-Ghariba, that starts. And if a lot of academics, non-Muslim academics, priests who read about the tragedy of Karbala, they say the true hero of Karbala arises from the ashes. That is Sayyida Zainab, the sister of Imam Hussein. She takes, even though she is a woman, she takes the lead. And there is a priest, a prominent priest, who keeps on saying this on the pulpit. He says, if you think about it, if it wasn't for Zainab, the imamate would have stopped. Imamate would not have been able to continue. She saved Imam Zain al-Abidin after the tent was put on fire. From one tent to another, there was one lady, because Imam Zain al-Abidin was so sick, he could not move. It was his auntie, the great Zainab, who took Imam Zain al-Abidin from one tent to the other and saved him, not just in Sham al-Ghariba, but from the travels from Karbala to all the way to Damascus was Lady Zainab. We'll talk about her in the next session. So 5 p.m., about 6:49 was the adhan for Maghrib. The day of Ashura ends with Umar ibn Sa'd holding congregational prayers of Maghrib. How can you pray after you've just done what you've done? But this is the audacity of Umar ibn Sa'd. This is the audacity. And you'll see in the next session that we'll talk about it, how these people tried to manipulate their people afterwards. What they did, they tried to hide it. Okay? Now quickly, before going into too much, I want to just talk about how do we know about the events of Ashura. And there are 4 sources, okay, just quickly. And I'll go through these, inshallah, next time. But there are 4 main sources, okay? But I want you to keep in your minds Abu Miknaf, the name Abu Miknaf, okay? And I want you to keep in your minds the other name is Hamid ibn Muslim. These are the 2 names I want you to keep in your head for next time we come and visit, okay? Because we'll touch on this later. Can I please ask the wife to return? Yep. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Brothers, whenever you listen to the tragedy of Karbala, put your heads down. Put your heads down. If you cannot cry, sometimes it's hard to cry. I know for a fact that sometimes it's difficult to shed tears. But brothers, the greatest remedy for disease in the heart is to cry. And the only person you can cry for without any problems is Imam al-Hussein. And I want to take you to a scene that happened after the death of Imam al-Hussein. By this time, the sun is setting. Maghrib is approaching. Do you think Umar ibn Sa'd had enough? Do you think that he quenched his thirst for blood by this time? He had not only killed the companions and the family of Imam al-Hussein, he butchers them. He butchers Imam Hussein in a way that till this day we have not heard of. The way that Imam al-Hussein was beheaded can never ever be recited in the maktab without someone crying, and I'm not going to try. But he did not stop there. He commands his army to go and loot and burn the tents of Abu Abdullah. They know that Abu Abdullah's army is gone. They know that Abu Abdullah is no longer there to protect the likes of Zainab, to protect the likes of Sukaina, to protect the likes of the other ladies there, the other children there. Abbas is gone. Al-Abbas, the great companion, the great brother of Imam al-Hussein, who protected Zainab until the end, is no longer there. When they started to burn the tents, a girl comes out running from one of the tents, and the back of her abaya is burned. It's burning, it is on fire. Hamid ibn Muslim narrates, this was a reporter, a journalist at Karbala. He stops and tells the girl to stop and try, and she's crying, she's yelling, take me to my father, take me to my father. My clothes are burning. He notices that the girl's ears have been pierced. He asked the girl, what happened to your ears? He goes, a man came and ripped my earrings off. They did not even leave Imam al-Hussein's daughter on that night. How crooked of people could you be? He helps her get rid of the fire. He could see the thirst of Sukaina bint al-Hussein. Could see how parched her lips were. He takes her to the river and gives her some water. Before she drinks, he asks Hamid the question, oh Hamid, you killed my father, but did you know that he was more thirsty than I am? But you didn't give him water. Did you give him water? She asked this question of Hamid. Hamid says no. She pours the glass on the water and she says to Hamid, tell me where Najaf is. Hamid, shocked that this girl was only 5 years old. He asked, why do you want to know where the direction of Najaf is? She says a response that breaks the heart. Wallahi, breaks the heart. She says, I want to go to my grandfather and tell him what happened to my father. I want to complain. Hamid sits there and he himself starts to weep of what just happened. Another narration, just quickly, brothers. After all of the chaos has gone and Shama Gariba has passed, Zainab is looking for Sukaina bint al-Hussein. And once she finds him on the chest of Abu Abdullah and brings her back, Zainab is standing, and she alone, how ghareeb is this lady now, that she has to stand guard and protect the companions of Imam al-Hussein. This is Zainab. The story of Zainab starts this day. Until this day today, if any sister, any of my sisters want to look at the inspiration for them to become the greatest version of themselves, look at Zainab. She not only protected the religion of Islam by protecting Imams and Abidin, it is because of her. Much of the narrations that we know of Karbala, Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. آبائك وسلم لنا السلام عليكم سلام عليكم السلام الله تعالى وبركاته وسلام
Because it's dead, you have to unlock it. What did you do?